From the newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle, this is the Brazos Sports Prepscast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
What's going on, everyone? You're listening to the Brazos Sports Prepscast, a podcast about high school football here in the Brazos Valley. I'm Alex Miller with the Eagle, joined always by Jake Weiss, our high school sports reporter. Jake, this is maybe the week we've all been waiting for. Big games all around us. We've got heavyweight fights, A&M Consolidated-College Station. We got Franklin and Cameron down in the 3A level. We're going to break down both of these games, plus some other local and area games. Just what do you kind of make of this week?
Man, so I think for the first week I said it was like Christmas or maybe like the first day of school. I don't even know what holiday at this point it is because this is just so exciting. I mean,
it's kind of like Thanksgiving.
I've got energy all week. There we go.
It's kind of like Thanksgiving because these are kind of like third-round playoff games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, hey, we'll also have a former player panel to preview College Station and A&M Consolidated. We're also going to hear from a couple current players, A&M Consolidated receiver Wesley Watson and College Station linebacker Shane Bellows. Let's start, Jake, with the Cougars and Tigers showdown. We'll circle back to our other games later in the show. Let's get a little backstory here. So these two schools, they're playing for the first time in 4 seasons. They've been in different football divisions the last 4. College Station, they lead the all-time series 4-0, but the Tigers, they've been close to winning multiple times. We knew coming into the season that this had a chance to be a really important game, and it is. What's on the line here, Jake?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, for A&M Consolidated, you look at them; they're kind of in the driver's seat in the district right now. They're 5-0. 5-0. Everyone else is not everyone else, but the 2 teams right behind them are College Station and Georgetown. They've already beaten Georgetown once. Now they've got College Station, who's 4-1. They win this one, they go to 6-0. I'm pretty sure, if my math's right here, that would guarantee them the district title. Is that right?
They would get at least a share of the district championship, but they would also clinch the number 1 seed from the district in the playoffs.
And you got to give a lot of credit to A&M Consolidated too. They had that loss to Lufkin. That was kind of, I think that ended. That was right at the end of non-district. That was their final game.
Yeah.
Of non-district, and since then they've reeled off 5 straight wins. And then, like we said, what's at stake for them this Friday? It's a lot. It's a big one. And then for the Cougars as well, you look at the other side. The Cougars, it was a tough loss last week against Georgetown, but got to give them a lot of credit. They came out in that second half and kept fighting. I was at the game, and I was texting you a little bit back and forth at halftime, and I think it was halftime. It was 35-3, and I was kind of sitting there talking to you a little bit, and I was like, well, we were on an early deadline that night. I think we had to have our stories in by
10-15? Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, this is, kind of disappointing, but hey, at least, kind of know which way my story's going a little bit. And then, College Station comes out in the second half, reels off 35 points, 35 unanswered. I think they outscored Georgetown 35-14 in the second half alone. So, obviously they're still fighting. We know they're real talented. Tough loss last week, but, man, you got to give them credit in the second half. They came out to play. They didn't give up. And so, I think this week, again, they kind of dust themselves off and go, hey, we saw what we did in the second half. Let's put that together and, play a complete game this week. And if they win, they're kind of right back in there for the district title.
Yeah, then it'll get real interesting. Got a 3-way tie for first, see how that shakes out. Jake, we went and talked with some Consol players earlier today, talked with some College Station players later this afternoon. What's maybe a matchup that you're looking at in this game?
Yeah, a big one for me. I was talking with College Station offensive lineman Jake Utley a little earlier today. Really just that battle in the trenches. We talked a lot this whole season about how both teams like to run the ball. I think a couple weeks ago I said my breakout player was Keyshawn and Trey Taylor over at Consol. I think that was a breakout player.
I think, yeah.
That was our superlative.
Yeah, that was our superlative.
I couldn't remember if it was breakout player or offensive player, but same thing, I guess. But, so, we both know these teams like to run the ball. Well, on College Station side, they've got a real talented offensive line, with Utley kind of anchoring that group, senior group. You know, we know they like to run with Ada Martinez-Brown. On the other side, though, you've got A&M Consolidated. You know, we've talked about him before, Joey Lightfoot, big defensive lineman for them. Jake and I were kind of talking. I know it's a little confusing, Jake and Jake, but, you know, Jake and I were talking about just kind of that battle in the trenches. I think that's going to be a matchup I'm really interested to see, kind of, you know, which team finishes with a little bit more running yards, kind of how both sides do against, you know, each other's offensive line and defensive line.
You know, hearing from guys from both sides really emphasize each other's opponent's ability to run the ball. That was something that was said on both sides, and I think that's a fair point. When you look at what Consol's got with Keyshawn Thomas and Trey Taylor, what you look at what College Station's been able to do with Aiden Martinez-Brown, a matchup I'm intrigued to see is potentially Wesley Watson going up against College Station defensive back A.J. Tisdale. Guess it remains to be seen if Tisdale is going to come back. He missed the second half of last week's game, but it seemed like Coach Pryor said they're expecting to have all their guys available this Friday, so expecting to see him play. You know, these are two guys that are going to go play Division I football, and this is a pretty pivotal matchup when you look at it. Just being able, we've seen how key a component Wesley Watson has been to Consol's offense and how big of a playmaker he can be, both down the field and just getting him a little screen. I mean, he can outrun just about everyone. And then on the flip side, A.J. Tisdale, really great cover man, does a lot for them on defense. And so, you know, you talk about a one-on-one matchup, that could be one that would be interesting to watch. So, hey, it's been a while since this game has been played. No current players on either team have played each other at the high school level, at the varsity high school level, I should say. So it's kind of new in a sense, you know? So, hey, how about let's hear from a couple of former players from Consol and College Station on what it was like playing each other for the very first time back in 2014. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Brazos Sports Preps Cast. We're doing something a little different because it's a little different of a week. A&M Consolidated and College Station are playing each other for the first time in 4 years. None of the guys on these teams have played each other in the high school level on the football field. So, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the first time. So let's look back at the first time. We got Cole Whittlesey, played at College Station High School. Got Luke Benden, played at A&M Consolidated. We're going to revisit that 2014 showdown between the Cougars and the Tigers. Guys, first of all, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, you know, what comes to mind when I ask you about that game and whatever that score was, if somebody remembers?
Can't recall.
I think it's a resounding 34-31 is what the score was.
Mm-hmm.
Cole, what comes to mind when you think of that game?
I mean, honestly, we have our fun, like, joking about it a lot because we grew up here. But, yeah, it was a big week. It was a big game for, I think, everybody that was affiliated with College Station or Consol. Because, I mean, we played together our freshman year, and then they split the schools. So it was definitely a big rivalry game. I think we were all looking forward to it for like 4 years. So
It was like friendly bad blood, you know, like
Yeah.
your brother that you don't like in the moment and you're fighting all the time with, and then it just kind of leads up to that game.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been good friends long before that game was played. You've been good friends ever since then. You know, and you both kind of touched on it. It seemed like in that game, both of those senior classes were pretty tight, especially considering y'all played together that freshman year at Consol. You know, was that one maybe just a little more personal than the others?
Definitely. I mean, I think, honestly, at the end of the day, we would have loved to have stayed together.
Absolutely.
And played because I think
Yeah.
we would have been pretty good. But, yeah, but we weren't. So we definitely just wanted to beat the crap out of each other. And so, and I think there was – I wasn't a big talker, like week of or like during the game.
There's always those guys.
But there was definitely some.
Yeah.
And so that fueled it, obviously. And so – yeah, it was a different week than any other week we had that year, as much as the coaches didn't want to like admit that or whatever. But yeah.
Luke?
Yeah, I mean, your 17-year-old mind, you just feel like you're like the center of the city that whole week. Looking back, it's kind of silly to think about it now, but I mean, when you're that age, and that's that's what your life is, and that's what you work so hard towards, and getting to that point. For us, I mean, that's what mattered in the season was beating College Station, and then beating Bryan was a little less than that, but for sure the College Station game meant a lot, especially once we knew that we weren't going to be making a long run in the playoffs because we had so many injuries and the season really wasn't turning out to what we thought it was going to be. It was important to win that game. So
Yeah, you mentioned the injuries, and maybe probably the most significant one was Riley Gardner.
Oh.
He got hurt before the season started, kind of in a fluke accident.
Yeah.
He later played at A&M. The weird thing about it though was that he suited up for that game and was going through warm-ups.
I forgot about that. You're
What-
right. I forgot about
Do
that.
you guys remember that?
Yes.
I
now
do,
that you
I do
mention
now.
it.
I do now. Yeah. I knew he wasn't gonna play though.
I remember. It's so funny that you mentioned
It's
that.
funny because I knew y'all,
Yeah.
so I think they're maybe trying to
Trying
Some
to play
Jedi
the
mind
head
tricks, right?
game, yeah.
Everyone.
Trying to play the head game. I remember him suiting up, and I was just thinking, man, if he could actually play, like this would be such a different game. But yeah, and then we had Daniel Zivney out too, and Brett was out, and a couple other key dudes. Of course, you guys had a bunch of injuries too, and some suspensions, and yeah, it's things that happen in high school. I mean, you just can't plan for week to week, but
yeah.
Well, nonetheless, the game was incredible in itself, right? I mean, came down to the absolute last play. What do you just remember that environment being like and just maybe being a little different than others?
Dude, it was. I mean, the place was packed. I wish we could have played it at Kyle Field. That would have been
oh,
sweet.
dude, yeah.
But I think that was probably right when they were doing like renovations and everything.
Yeah.
I think if I recall correctly, that was the season that A&M, they had played a game and the grass had gotten torn up and they had to replace the whole field.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, hey, we gotta take care of this for A&M games. No high school games allowed.
Yeah, it was because
sense.
we were going to play Bryan there in Kyle Field like normal, and like you said, they had some issues with the field and couldn't do it. So
Yeah, but so we played it at Consol, but it didn't matter. Like if it was at
Yeah.
College Station or Consol, it was gonna be the same.
mm-hmm.
It was gonna be packed with both, right down the middle, you know. And yeah, it was. I remember. This is kind of off topic, I guess, but I remember one specific thing. I scrambled out at one play or whatever, and got pushed out of bounds. And I'm not gonna say what was said, but quite a few of my buddies at Consol that were on the sideline who maybe weren't suited out or were just hanging out on the sideline for whatever reason. They had some fun words for me, and so that was pretty much the whole game.
Oh yeah, that was Brett and I yelling explicits at you.
Yeah. I specifically remember Brett because I was like, "Is that guy's not even wearing a jersey? Who was that?"
Yeah.
So
Well, the game itself, kind of a tale of two halves, right? Luke, what do you just remember about jumping out to that big lead and being ahead so early?
Man, we were pumped because I think Cole and I were talking about this before. I think it was 17-7 at half.
Yep.
And we were feeling real good. I think we were just coming off of a kick return. Either Derek returned that kick in the first half or second half all the way, and we were going to the halftime in the locker room thinking oh yeah, we're the king of the city. It was incredible. And then come out second half and things did not go our way.
Well,
so.
I think the big turning point in, rest in peace, but my buddy Tunka, he wasn't playing the first half, and he was, our stud running back. And so we really struggled on the ground in the first half. And then I remember walking off to halftime. We're down 17-7, and I was pretty hot. I went up to Coach Huff, and I was like, listen, Tunka's got to play the second half. He has to. And so once he got back on the field, I mean, it was a completely different game because, we were able to run the ball quite a bit and could still throw it too. So I think that was definitely a huge point in the game.
Yeah. I remember the very last play. So y'all had just hit that clutch field goal to go up 3 on us. Very last play. I'm tight end, but, I don't really play that much because we have these D1 guys. And so they call a Hail Mary for the last play. I get in there because they need someone tall to run down there. And I don't think Mason was able to make it to the end zone with a throw, but I just remember looking up and seeing Jeremiah Booker running off to y'all sidelines, and like the stands, I could see like the stands physically shaking. That's just like burned in my mind, like how much they were jumping up and down. I don't think I've been so distraught over like a competitive loss my entire life. Like I literally went to the locker room, went home, and just like laid on my bed and was just like numb. Didn't talk to my parents, didn't talk to my girlfriend at the time, just like numb.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember y'all went up for the Hail Mary last play of the game.
Yeah.
And it would have been tough.
Yeah.
Because I think y'all were on like y'all's like 35. Like,
Yeah.
it was a long throw.
It was
And I think it wasn't very close to the end zone. But Jeremiah came up, caught it, and Jeremiah doesn't play defense. He was in there, he's our wide receiver, but he was in there just because big guy swat the ball down or pick it, whatever.
Yeah.
And they picked it, and I think he was so excited. He started running, and we're all yelling like, "Dude, get down!" Like,
Yeah. He
because
took
I
off.
thought he was about to just throw the ball. I was like, oh god! And then he slid, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so right then I breathed
Yeah.
a sigh of relief because it could have been bad.
Yeah.
Well, Luke, you mentioned it earlier too. You had played in the Consol Bryan game, which isn't being played currently.
Right.
Which game do you feel like maybe was a more intriguing rivalry?
So I think you had the tradition of the Bryan Consol game, but for us, our senior year being so close with the other school and going to freshman year being all together, it was a lot more personal. And I mean, like for us, our senior year, we just didn't care about the Bryan game nearly as much because of that reason. Because we had our rival, and it was College Station, and like it all led up to that. And of course, we lost to Bryan that year too. So
They beat us in overtime.
yeah,
so.
they were good that year, so we were like, whatever. But
Yeah, Kiki and Darius and them.
oh my gosh, yeah,
That was a really good Bryan team.
yeah.
You talk about good running backs. You talk about Tunka, Kiki. I mean,
Kiki might have been the best
He was
running back
insane.
in high school I've seen play.
Yeah,
Dude was unstoppable.
yeah.
well, as much as it's fun to reminisce on some good times, good games, there is still more to life after football. And you guys, I mean, Cole, you're making a music career right now. Luke, you're an entrepreneur, got your business going right now. But for the guys that this is going to be maybe one of the more pinnacle moments of their high school years. What do you kind of hope guys like y'all that are still 17 can get out of this game?
Man, I would just say, like, enjoy the moment and always just buy into the spirit, the camaraderie, the environment that you're in, because you're not going to ever get that sense of, like, community with other guys that you get when you're in high school football. It's just something different, just be in the moment and buy in.
Yeah. And also don't let it, this sounds bad, but don't let it just be another game, because it's not. Like, we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
Years later. And like it's one that you're going to remember for sure. Like, it's a rivalry that's really fun to prepare for and actually get to play in. So, especially after, you said 4 years since the last time they played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So, it kind of is like the first time again. So, yeah, it's play your butt off for sure.
Has Consol ever beat College Station?
They have
I
not.
think that's
It
a
is
big no.
Consolidated
Jeez.
is
Yeah.
0-4 against the Cougars,
That's
right.
so sad.
That's right. Go Cougs.
or
baby.
the Purple School, as some call it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, maybe that'll change this year.
Well, probably not though.
but hey, that's why we have you guys on to break it down. So, hey, thank y'all so much for coming in and just giving a little perspective and looking back on a really good game. So, appreciate it, guys.
Of course.
I'm Alex Miller, joined with A&M Consolidated senior receiver Wesley Watson. Wesley, big game for you guys this week. Just what's kind of just the vibe among the team and the school, knowing that y'all are going to be playing College Station this week?
We're locked in. Just another game for us. Just going to go out there and do the things we're coached to do. We're going to have a good week of practice and just go out there and execute.
Yeah, this is a game that hasn't been played for several years. What's kind of your familiarity with it and just kind of, what you know about it?
I know it's a crosstown showdown. Everybody knows everybody. It's basically a home game for both teams. A lot of hype around it, just with the whole community gets involved. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, you guys have been on a roll these last few weeks once district play got started. What's really been the key to this offense really getting going these last few weeks?
We got playmakers everywhere. When you got Keyshawn, Trey running the ball, Hargett at quarterback, the receivers we got just makes things easy. And the defense is pretty hard to score on. I mean, they make plays all the time. It's pretty hard for any opposing teams to make plays when you got guys all over the field on that side of the ball.
Yeah, you talk about how it's going to be a packed game on Friday. Even though it's a road game, how much does it help that it's just, less than 10 minutes down the road and you guys are going to have a number of fans there too?
It'll help, but the atmosphere, you just kind of can't let the crowd get to you. Just stay focused, stay grounded. Just play your game. Don't lose sight of what's the main goal with the atmosphere, and don't let that affect your game.
When you look at the College Station defense, what kind of sticks out to you and what you guys are trying to prepare for this week?
They got guys that can fly around for sure. Guys can make plays, but we got guys that can make plays also. So it'll just be able to who capitalizes off of who. We're going to go out there and just play our style, do the things we're coached to do.
Well, aside from maybe some bragging rights, you guys are in contention for a district title. How much would a win this week help you guys achieve that goal potentially?
Everything. That's what we go out there and play to win. So just focus on this, build off this game, and then keep going for the rest of the season.
Well, what do the Tigers got to do to come away with a huge win on Friday?
Stay locked in, do the things we're coached to do. Don't miss assignments. Just play our style of game. Everything, and then just let it all fall into play after that.
All right. Hey, that's Wesley Watson. Sure. He's A&M's Consolidated senior receiver. I butchered that, but good luck this week, Wesley.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Brazos Sports Prepscast, everyone. We're over at College Station High School now. I'm joined by College Station senior linebacker Shane Bellows. Shane, what's kind of the feel of the team, maybe the school, leading up to this game this week?
I think everybody's super excited. Been a couple of years since we've played Consol, but good track record against them, so I think we're all excited for it.
Yeah, nobody on this current team has actually played them in high school on the football field, but do you remember any of the games that were played back before?
Oh yeah, I think we all do. I think 7-on-7, middle school, we all remember those games against each other and have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
When you look at this Consol team, what really sticks out to you about their offense that you guys are trying to have to prepare for?
I think they're going to want to run the ball, and we have a pretty good run defense, so I think if we go out and stop that with the weather helping us out in the past, so I think that'll help us out a lot, and we'll be able to stop them.
Tough start to the game for you guys last week. Had a better second half. What's really maybe an emphasis on y'all's end this week to clean some of that up?
Just really coming out with the intensity. We kind of came out soft, expecting to kind of just run through a team, and can't come out this week with that mindset.
A game like this where, you probably know some guys on the other side. What do you guys say about, trying to maybe stay level-headed in the moment?
Yeah, we've talked about that all week. Just, keep your head on straight. You want to play with intensity and, play aggressive, but you don't want to have any stupid penalties. So we've definitely been talking about that all week.
Is it maybe a little more fun and maybe a little different knowing some of those guys, though?
Absolutely. It adds a whole new aspect to the game. Just trash talking, the guys personally, you're friends with some of them, not friends with some of them. So it definitely adds a whole new aspect to the game.
Well, you guys, this is going to be a big game, trying to catch back up in those district standings now. What's it going to take from the Cougars to come away with a big win over Consol?
Just listen to our coaches, do what we do best, go out there and stop them.
All right. Hey, that's Shane Bellows. He's the Cougars' senior linebacker. We'll be back here in a minute. Jake, Consol and College Station is a big game, but there's lots of other good football going around this week here locally and in the Brazos Valley. So we'll start with the Bryan Vikings, okay? They host Hutto in what's maybe another step closer to the playoffs for the Vikings, trying to clinch that postseason spot. Big one for Bryan, okay? Game they likely have to win to keep those playoff hopes alive. Harker Heights and Temple, they seem pretty locked into playoff spots there in 12-6A. There's kind of a four-way scramble going on there for those last two bids. Bryan, really seemed to get that offense going last week against Waco Midway. We talked last week about 2 weeks ago now, what Malcolm Gooden could do getting back in that offense. And then, turnovers really troubled them in that loss to Pflugerville Weiss. Well, hey, Malcolm went out and threw 5 touchdown passes. Bryan had 3 one-play scoring drives. That's pretty good when you look at it. But when you look at Hutto, they could pose some problems even though they're just 1-3 in district.
Yeah, I think the Vikings got a big boost with Malcolm back. I don't want to say he was just shaking off the rust a little bit, but he comes out and throws 5 touchdowns. 2 weeks after his first game, or a week after his first game back. I mean, kind of interested to see what the Vikings do this week. I mean, they looked real good on offense, like you said, and going to be interested to see what they do this week.
Yeah, Hutto, they like to throw the ball a lot. They've got a consistent quarterback, Will Hammond. He's thrown for over 2,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions this year. So he's been pretty consistent. Bryan being at home should help, although they have dropped their last 2 home games against Temple and Pflugerville Weiss. So Bryan knows they need to get a big win. See if the Vikings can get it done this week. Rudder, they knew they had to win last week against Burnham. Couldn't get it quite done. Kind of seems like their playoff hopes are gone now. But they're traveling to Richmond Randall this week, still seeking that first district win. I was at the game last Friday at Merrill Green. Mistakes really hurt the Rangers. Pretty hard to overcome the 3 pick sixes. And, tip the cap to Burnham. They made some really good plays. Savion Ragston, I mean, he had a game. 2 62-yard interception return for touchdowns. And starting to look like Burnham and Lake Creek going to play next week for that district championship. So, Rudder's still trying to get that first win, though.
Yeah, and then we got a private school roundup, I believe, next. Is that right? Yeah. We do. So, first, just making sure. Keeping this guy.
Keep on my toes.
Keeping him on his toes, everybody. First off, we had St. Joseph. They had a big win against Second Baptist. They won 57-6. Big game from quarterback Mark Mishler. He had 5 touchdowns. He made our honorable mention in our Player of the Week this week. Real impressive performance from him. I think he had his 5 touchdowns, I think only on like 141 yards. He was really effective through the air. This week they're off this week before closing the regular season against
Livingstone's
Christian. There we go.
There you go.
Thinking about it, everybody. But yeah, no, that's a big one they've got here in 2 weeks. They'll be ready. The Eagles will be ready. Excited to see what they do when they get back out there.
Yeah, Allen Academy, they lost to Pasadena First Baptist last week. Knew this was going to be a tall order for the Rams. They're looking to get back on track against Houston Westbury this week. Win could go a long way knowing they got Conroe Covenant. That's a game they've had circled all year. So I know Coach Adams' team, they're trying to get it going this week. Hey, Brazos Christian, they're back in action against Alpha Omega Academy this week too.
Yeah, and the Eagles believe they can actually clinch a playoff spot with a win this week. Is that right?
That's what it's looking like.
Yeah, so they're going to be fired up. And is that game's at home? Is that right?
I'm not sure. But it looks like it's on a Saturday too.
Oh, okay. Little extra action there for you.
Little weekend game.
Yeah.
So
I live right by Brazos Christian. If it's a home game, I might have to drive by and see if they got things jumping and going over there.
Go check in with Coach Washington. Hey, the Eagles, they've been getting it going during district play. So had a pretty tough non-district slate. Now they're getting it going as the district slate goes. All right, Jake. 3 games to watch in the Brazos Valley. We mentioned it at the beginning. We're circling it back to it. Cameron Yo at Franklin. Okay, heavyweight battle between number 1 Lions, number 6 Yeoman. This is for the district championship and for the top seed too. So lots on the line over in Robertson County this week.
Yeah, and a lot of stars will be out. We know Bryson Washington. He had a big game for Franklin last week. He's committed to Baylor. He rushed for 308 yards, 6 touchdowns, I think on 26 carries.
Pretty impressive against Lorena, too.
Yeah, exactly. And then, on the other side, you got Braylon Drake. We've talked about him a lot. He had a big week against Rockdale in the rivalry game. He had 4 touchdown passes. He's just been real steady, it seems like, all year. Just real impressive. So, stars are coming out in this one because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, both of these teams, we know they can score, and they can score in bunches. To me, it seems like this one might come down to who has the ball last or who can get a big stop throughout the game. Maybe not at the end, but maybe, second quarter, teams winning by 7, get a stop at the end of the half. You get the ball back, maybe can go up 2 scores and trying to play catch-up. Either way, turnovers and mistakes, those are going to be costly. You can't afford to have those. I know that sounds like coach speak, but in a game like this, it's true. So, hey, Burton at Somerville. It's likely that the Panthers are gonna win this one, as they have just about every other game this year with ease. But the Yawas, they're sitting 4-0, Jake, and they were off last week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Burton. And so kind of curious to see what the Yawas can throw at Burton. This is going to be their last big test before the playoffs start.
And I've got to say, this is, I don't want to name this game myself, but I kind of do because this is kind of the Jake Weiss game.
It is kind of the Jake Weiss game.
My best team of the mid-season and then my surprise team. So, this is a tough one for me. I don't know, Good thing I'm going to be at College Station Console because I'd be a little conflicted if I was out there, I think.
Yeah, Somerville, they're definitely the underdogs, but curious to see how they fare against Burton. Burton number 2 in 2A Division II. Somerville's looking for not only a win but a good showing as well because they got to go on the road next week against Falls City, and I know Falls City is not quite what Falls City has been this year. But that's a tough way to end the regular season on the road against a team with pedigree. So the Yawas looking for a good game on Friday. All right, Jake, what's our last one?
Yeah, we've got Navasota at Brazosport. The Rattlers got back on track last week. Close win, 37-35. Our player of the week, MJ Woods, came up clutch there. One of his teammates blocked an extra point try. MJ Woods picked it up. Took it to the house 85 yards. Ended up being the game's deciding 2 points. So Navasota held on for the win there. Big win for them to get their playoff hopes back on track. Believe they're now second in the district, second or third?
I think they're second behind El Campo.
Yeah, that's right. That was behind El Campo.
The Fighting Robert Primo alma mater. Anyway.
Big game this week again. I think this is their last game. I think I was looking at the schedule earlier today. I think this is their last district game.
They're close.
They've got maybe this game, and then I think they have a bye.
Do they?
I think that's how the schedule's shaping out for them. So it's another one for them. They need to pick up this win, keep the playoff hopes alive. Maybe even not even just keep the hopes alive, but kind of solidify. If they win, that helps you kind of solidify where you're at. You might have to scoreboard watch a little bit the next week, but kind of solidify where you're at if you win this one.
Hey, Brazosport, their mascot is the Exporters. Okay.
Really?
That's pretty unique, pretty incredible. I'm a fan, so that's a cool name. I'm probably picking Navasota in this one, but Rattlers versus Exporters. That's a great matchup. Just mascot name. So that kind of encapsulates the week. We got all kinds of great games, great matchups. Jake and I will both be at A&M Consolidated versus College Station. So be sure to check theeagle.com for all of our high school football coverage this week. That's all we got. Jake's got to get to a volleyball game, and I got more stories to write. So until next time, folks, we'll see you then.